Top 5 ultra-rare bicentennial dollar coins worth hundreds of thousands. Fire, don't blink. These rare bicentennial Eisenhower dollars could turn your pocket change into a $100,000 plus jackpot. From double dies to wrong planchets, these coins are shocking collectors worldwide. Stay with us till the end. One of these treasures could be in your hands. Part 1. The history behind the 1965 quarter. Let's rewind to the mid-1960s. The United States Mint was facing a huge problem, a national silver shortage. Up until 1964, quarters were struck in 90% silver, but starting in 1965, the Mint made a big change. They switched to a clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. To make sure the transition went smoothly and that people didn't hoard silver coins, the Mint didn't put a mint mark on quarters from 1965 to 1967. That way, collectors couldn't differentiate between coins made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Now here's where the real story begins. Even though the new clad planchets, coin blanks, were supposed to be used in 1965, a few silver blanks from 1964 accidentally made their way into the minting machines in 1965. That mistake created one of the most valuable error coins in U.S. history, the 1965 silver quarter error. Part 2. What makes the 1965 silver quarter so rare? The Mint produced over 1.8 billion Washington quarters in 1965. So, how could one be worth over $100,000? It all comes down to the planchet error. Some of these 1965 quarters were struck on leftover silver planchets, meant for 1964 coins. Instead of being struck on the new copper-nickel clad planchets, these errors were minted on 90% silver blanks, an error that never should have happened. These silver planchets slipped through the cracks at the Mint, and now they're considered ultra-rare treasures. Only a handful are known to exist, and that's what drives the price to jaw-dropping levels. Part 3. How much are they worth? Now, let's talk money. Small blue diamond. In 2014, one of these 1965 silver quarters sold at auction for a stunning $7,050. Small blue diamond, but in a shocking twist, another specimen, verified and graded by PCGS, sold for a mind-blowing $108,000. Let that sink in, a 25-cent coin turning into a six-figure payday. Depending on condition, silver content, and error clarity, the value of a 1965 error quarter can range from $67,000 to $88,000, and possibly more than $100,000 for pristine examples. Part 4. How to identify a 1965 silver quarter. Alright, here's the part you've been waiting for. How do you spot a real 1965 silver quarter? Here's what to check. White heavy checkmark sound test. Silver quarters make a high-pitched ring when dropped, unlike clad coins, which sound duller. White heavy checkmark edge color. Clad quarters show a copper stripe along the edge. Silver quarters appear solid silver-colored all around, no orange or brown tint. White heavy checkmark weight. A silver quarter weighs 6.25 grams. A clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. Use a precise digital scale to measure this. Classical building. Part 5. Why this error happened. The U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure in 1965. With the change in metal composition and a booming economy, production was happening at lightning speed. Mistakes were bound to happen, and they did. Some silver planchets from 1964 were still in the bins or got stuck in machinery. When 1965 production began, a few of these leftover silver blanks were accidentally fed into the presses, resulting in this incredible mint error. It wasn't intentional, but it created a legendary coin that today's collectors dream about finding. Toolbox, Part 6, Other 1965 quarter errors to look for. 745. While the silver planchet is the king of 1965 errors, there are a few other rare types worth checking out. Small orange diamond double die obverse, DDO. Look for doubling in the letters like Liberty or In God We Trust. Small orange diamond off-center strikes. If part of the design is missing and shifted, these can sell for $100 to $500 or more. Small orange diamond clipped planchets. If the quarter looks like it has a bite taken out of it, that's a clipped planchet and worth good money. Small orange diamond broad strikes, coins struck without the collar, making them wider and flatter, can be worth hundreds. But remember, nothing comes close to the silver error quarter in terms of value. Part 7. Where you might find one. You might be thinking, why would this quarter still be out there after all these years? Well, many of these coins are still circulating or hidden in old change jars, collections, or forgotten drawers. Some people have had them for decades, never realizing they're holding a treasure. Speaking head. A historic quarter for a historic moment. In 1976, the United States celebrated its bicentennial, 200 years of independence since 1776. To mark this occasion, the U.S. Mint broke tradition and issued special designs for three coins, the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar. The 1976 bicentennial quarter featured a drummer boy on the reverse, designed by Jack L. Ahr, replacing the traditional eagle. The obverse, still featuring George Washington, included the dual date 1776 to 1976 to commemorate the bicentennial year. Over 1.6 billion bicentennial quarters were minted across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. So why is this coin, produced in such large numbers, worth up to $110,000? Because some of them have extremely rare minting errors, and collectors go wild for those. Key facts about the 1976 quarter. Obverse, George Washington with the dual date 1776 to 1976. Reverse, colonial drummer boy with a victory torch encircled by 13 stars. Designers, John Flanagan, obverse, and Jack L. Ahr, reverse. Mints, Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, San Francisco, S, proof and silver proof. The errors that turn 25 cents into $100,000 plus. Now let's talk about what really gets collectors' hearts racing, rare errors. Not all 1976 quarters are created equal. Some were struck with mistakes so significant and so rare that they now command 5, and even 6-figure prices at auction. Money bag value, up to $90,000 to $110,000. This is the king of all bicentennial quarter errors. Some quarters meant for regular copper-nickel clad planchets were mistakenly struck on 40% silver planchets, intended for collector coins. These ultra-rare mix-ups typically happened at the Philadelphia Mint, where silver planchets were not supposed to be used. How to identify it? Weighs around 5.75 grams, instead of the normal 5.67 grams. Slightly different ring sound when dropped. Professional testing or X-ray analysis might be needed. These quarters are so rare, only a handful are confirmed, making them highly valuable, up to $110,000 at auctions depending on condition and provenance. 2. Double die obverse, DDO. Money bag value, $1,000 to $15,000 plus. One of the most thrilling errors in the numismatic world, the double die error results when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during hubbing, causing a doubled image. In the bicentennial quarter, look for doubling on, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." Also visible on 1776 to 1976. High-grade double die errors, especially in MS-66 or above, have sold for $10,000 or more at major auctions. 3. Off-center strikes. Value, $500 to $6,000 plus. Off-center errors happen when the coin is not properly aligned during striking. The more dramatic the off-centering, especially if it's over 50% and still shows the full date, the more valuable it becomes. A 1976 bicentennial quarter with a 75% off-center strike and clear date can command thousands of dollars, especially if it's in uncirculated condition. 4. Clipped planchet errors. Money bag value, $250 to $3,500 plus. This error occurs when the blank metal disc, planchet, used to make the coin is incompletely punched, leaving a visible crescent-shaped clip on the coin. Collectors love these because they're visually stunning and easy to identify. Bicentennial clipped planchet quarters can sell for thousands, especially if they're silver and uncirculated. 5. Transitional error, copper planchet on silver die or vice versa. Money bag value, $5,000 to $25,000 plus. Another wild one, some coins meant for silver-proof dies were accidentally struck on copper-nickel planchets and vice versa. These are extremely rare and can only be confirmed through weight testing and metallurgical analysis. Recent auction records. Let's look at a few real-world examples of how much these quarters have sold for. $19,200, 1976 silver quarter struck on clad planchet, Heritage Auctions, 2022. $12,000, 1976, D double die obverse in MS66. $8,500, off-center 1976 quarter with 70% misstrike. $110,000, rumored private sale of a 1976 P quarter struck on silver with double die. Face with monocle. How to check if you have one. Before you rush to spend that 1976 quarter in your wallet, here's what to do. 1. Look at the mint mark. D equals Denver. No mint mark equals Philadelphia. S equals San Francisco. Proof or silver. 2. Weigh it. Normal weight equals 5.67 grams. Silver equals 5.75 grams. 3. Inspect for errors. Use a 10x magnifying glass to check for doubling. Look for off-center designs or clipped edges. 4. Test for silver. Try the ring test. Silver has a higher pitched sound. Or use a magnet. Silver is non-magnetic. For certainty, consult a coin dealer or grading company. Be holding $100,000. So there you have it. That ordinary-looking 1976 Bicentennial quarter could be a hidden treasure worth tens of thousands, even over $100,000 if it has the right error. Think about it, a 25-cent coin that could buy you a car, a vacation home, or pay off your college tuition. That's the thrill of coin collecting. Part 1, Background, 0:31 to 2 o'clock. The 2021 D. Washington Crossing the Delaware Quarter was released as a follow-up to the America the Beautiful series, and it marked a return to the classic Washington Quarter design. But this version is special. The reverse side features a bold and striking image of General George Washington leading his troops across the icy Delaware River, a pivotal moment during the Revolutionary War. This design was a symbolic tribute to American perseverance and leadership, but ironically, some coins left the Denver Mint with serious mistakes, turning them into modern gold mines. While millions were minted, only a tiny fraction escaped quality control with extreme errors, and those few are the ones collectors are going crazy for. We're talking about rare double dies, off-center strikes, die breaks, and even dramatic misalignments. Brain, Part 2, the most rare errors. Let's talk about the actual errors that have made these coins worth $76,000 to $115,000 or more. 1. Major die break errors, aka, cut errors. Some 2021 D quarters have massive die breaks near Washington's hat or shoulder, creating a lumpy raised area that collectors call a cut. These are extremely rare and can bring $10,000 to $40,000, but the largest and most dramatic examples can go for $76,000 plus if the cut covers a major portion of the design. 2. Double die obverse, DDO. On some coins, you'll find clear doubling in the inscriptions, especially in the words, Liberty, In God We Trust, or even Washington's eye and collar. These are highly collectible. One of these in pristine condition has reportedly fetched $25,000, and rumors persist of a near-perfect example that sold in a private auction for over $93,000. 3. Off-center strikes, 15% or more. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable it becomes, especially if all the legends are still visible. A 30 to 40% off-center strike in mint state condition could pull in $15,000 to $40,000, and extreme misalignments with full visible dates have broken past $80,000. Part 3, What to look for. If you're searching for these rare 2021 D quarters, here's what you should be examining. White heavy checkmark. Check the lettering. Is there doubling on the word Liberty or In God We Trust? Use a magnifying glass or phone camera to zoom in on the details. White heavy checkmark. Inspect Washington's bust. Look for odd blobs or raised areas. These are possible die chips or cut breaks, especially around the hat, eye, or collar. White heavy checkmark. Flip it over. The reverse side should show Washington crossing the river, but is there any weird swelling, break, or misprint? Any smudging or gaps in the inscription? These could be signs of die deterioration or misalignment. White heavy checkmark. Weigh your coin. It should weigh about 5.67 grams. Anything significantly different might mean it struck on the wrong metal, and that means $. White heavy checkmark. Mint mark D. Most of these errors are from the Denver Mint, so make sure your quarter has the D mint mark on the obverse. Part 4, Value. Here's a real breakdown of how valuable these rare 2021 D crossing the Delaware era quarters can be. Error type condition approximate value minor double die circulated $100 to $1,000 major double die MS 65 plus $10,000 to $93,000 die break, cut. Large $5,000 to $76,000 plus off-center strike 30% plus $15,000 to $40,000 wrong planchet near mint $95,000 to $115,000. And remember, the grade matters. A coin graded MS 67 or higher by PCGS or NGC will fetch multiples more than 1 in average condition. Light bulb tip: get any suspicious coin professionally graded before selling. That certification can add tens of thousands to the final sale. Part 5, Recent Sales and Records. In 2023, a 2021 D quarter with a double die obverse was sold at an online coin auction for $82,000, with multiple bidders competing to win it. Another coin with a massive die cut that spanned from Washington's shoulder into the Liberty Zone fetched over $76,500 in a private collector exchange. There are even whispers in the numismatic community about an ultra-rare wrong planchet 2021 D that sold quietly for $115,000, though no photos have been made public yet. The story has caught fire in coin forums and collector groups. The 1976 Bicentennial Coinage Program, a special year in U.S. history. Before we dive into the errors, let's travel back in time. The year was 1976. America was celebrating its 200th birthday, the Bicentennial. To honor this milestone, the U.S. Mint did something very special. It created unique commemorative designs for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins. For the half-dollar, the Mint brought back the popular Kennedy design on the obverse, with a brand new reverse featuring Independence Hall, a symbol of American freedom. These coins carried the dual date 1776 to 1976, setting them apart from all other Kennedy halves. More than 200 million bicentennial half-dollars were struck, but only a tiny fraction contained the rare, jaw-dropping mint errors that collectors will pay tens of thousands for today. Factory: the 1976 D Kennedy half-dollar, basic facts. Mint mark, D, for the Denver Mint. Design, obverse, President John F. Kennedy reverse, Independence Hall, by Seth G. Huntington. Metal composition, clad version 91.67% copper, 8.33% nickel. Weight, 11.34 grams. Mintage, over 287 million from Denver. Despite the large mintage, only a handful of rare errors slipped through the cracks, and those are the ones pulling in $80,000 to $120,000 at auction. Collision: rare and valuable 1976 D Kennedy half-dollar errors. Let's dive into the top ultra-rare errors that make certain 1976 D half-dollars worth a fortune. 1. Double die obverse, DDO, value, up to $80,000 plus. A double die obverse means the coin was struck from a die that had been misaligned or rotated during the creation process. Look at the "In God We Trust" lettering. The Liberty at the top. Kennedy's eye and chin area. If you notice thick doubling in these areas, stop, you could have one of the rarest 1976 D DDO coins. A strong DDO in uncirculated or mint condition can bring $80,000 to $96,000, especially if it has additional errors. 2. Off-center strike errors, value, up to $30,000 to $50,000. Imagine a Kennedy half-dollar that struck way off-center, like 40% or even 60% off. These are dramatic looking and extremely collectible. Off-centers with the date fully visible are most valuable. The higher the percentage of off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable it is. With a D mint mark in high-grade condition, some have fetched $40,000 or more at auction. 3. Clad layer missing, planchet error, value, $10,000 to $25,000. If your coin looks strange, like the surface is copper-colored on one side, it could be missing a clad layer. This means the outer nickel layer wasn't bonded properly during minting. A 1976 D Kennedy half dollar with the clad layer missing can easily sell for $15,000 to $25,000, especially when graded by PCGS or NGC and labeled as authentic. 4. Wrong planchet errors, struck on quarter planchet, value, $50,000 to $120,000. This is the holy grail of 1976 D Kennedy half dollar errors. Imagine this. A Kennedy half struck on a smaller planchet meant for a quarter. It will weigh less than 11.34 grams, have parts of the design cut off, and may not have full rims. Because of the rarity, one such coin, certified and sold at major auction houses, has reached over $100,000, and experts estimate others could hit $120,000 or more. 5. Struck through errors, value, $5,000 to $15,000. Brain how to tell if your coin is worth thousands. 1. Check for weight, use a precision scale. A standard 1976 D should weigh 11.34 grams. If it's significantly off, you might have a planchet or wrong metal error. 2. Use a loupe or magnifier, look for doubling, off-center strikes, or surface abnormalities. 3. Look for red flags, sharp doubling on lettering and date, strange coloration, missing clad layer, drastic off-center design, Kennedy's profile shifted or distorted. 4. Money bag auction records and market value. Over the years, some of these rare 1976 D errors have made headlines. A 1976 D off-center Kennedy half-graded MS-65 sold for $41,000. A wrong planchet error sold at auction for a staggering $97,000. An authentic DDO in MS-66 Plus condition was recently offered for nearly $90,000. Man detective tips for coin hunters and collectors. Always check your change, old jars, or inherited collections. Buy a quality scale and 10x loupe. Keep coins in 2x2 holders or coin flips to prevent damage. Be cautious of fakes. Only buy graded errors from reputable dealers. Even pocket change could contain a fortune if you know what to look for. United States, a historic coin for a historic moment, the 1976 D Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar. The Eisenhower dollar was first introduced in 1971 to honor the late President Dwight D. Eisenhower. By 1976, America was preparing to celebrate its 200th birthday, the bicentennial of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To mark this monumental event, the U.S. Mint released special bicentennial coins, the quarter, the half dollar, and the dollar, all featuring dual dates 1776 to 1976 and unique reverse designs. For the Eisenhower dollar, the reverse featured a stunning image of the Liberty Bell superimposed over the moon, designed by Dennis R. Williams, a powerful nod to both American independence and the U.S. space program. Factory Quick Facts, 1976 D. Eisenhower dollar. Obverse, portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Reverse, Liberty Bell over the moon, bicentennial design. Composition, copper nickel clad, 91.67% copper, 8.33% nickel. Weight, 22.68 grams. Diameter, 38.1 millimeters. Mint mark. D. Denver. Mintage, approximate, 82 million. Magnifying glass tilted left. The ultra-rare 1976 D. Eisenhower dollar errors worth big money. Now let's break down the top mint errors that make these bicentennial Eisenhower dollars worth $85,000 to $130,000. Fire 1. Double die obverse, DDO, value, up to $85,000. This is one of the most sought-after error types. A double die obverse happens when the coin die is improperly manufactured, creating a noticeable doubling of design elements. Where to look? Doubling in Liberty. Doubling in Eisenhower's eye and jawline. Doubling in God We Trust. High-grade examples, MS-65 or higher, with strong doubling have sold for $70,000 to $85,000. Add in another error like a strike-through, and you could push this value toward $100,000. Collision 2. Wrong planchet error, struck on quarter planchet, value, up to $130,000. Now this is where things get crazy. A few 1976 D Eisenhower dollars were struck on the wrong metal planchet. Specifically, on planchets meant for quarters, nickels, or foreign coins. These coins weigh less than 22.68 grams. Are incomplete or missing rims. Appear too small for an Ike dollar. If authenticated, one of these errors could fetch $120,000 to $130,000, especially if it struck clearly and includes the full date and mint mark. Dizzy 3. Off-center strike, value, $30,000 to $70,000. This error happens when the coin blank, planchet, is misaligned during striking. You'll see part of the design missing and an uneven border. Important tip, if you have an off-center 1976 D Ike dollar where the 1776 date and the D mint mark are still visible, that coin can sell for $30,000 to $70,000, depending on the degree of off-centering and condition. Magnet 4. Clipped planchet or multiple clips, value, $10,000 to $25,000. A clipped planchet error occurs when the metal strip used to make blanks is misfed, causing a chunk to be missing from the coin, like someone took a bite out of it. Multiple or dramatic clips are very rare on large coins like the Eisenhower dollar. One certified example sold for over $22,000, and others are expected to go even higher in future auctions. Test tube 5. Struck through grease or foreign object, value, $12,000 to $40,000. This error happens when something, like grease, cloth, or a piece of wire, gets between the die and the coin blank during striking. The result? Parts of the design are missing. Surface may appear weak or disfigured. Sometimes resembles a ghostly, smooth area. Briefcase real auction results, big money for Ike dollar errors. White heavy checkmark in 1976, D Eisenhower dollar struck on a quarter planchet sold for $97,000 in a private auction. White heavy checkmark a double die obverse MS66 example was valued at over $85,000. White heavy checkmark an off-center bicentennial like in MS65 sold for $41,250. White heavy checkmark a struck-through cloth error was auctioned for $38,900. Magnifying glass tilted left how to spot a 1976 D Eisenhower error coin. Brain here's what to do if you think you might have one. 1. Weigh it, should be 22.68 grams. Anything lighter may be a wrong planchet. 2. Use a magnifier, 10x or better. Look closely at letters and numbers for doubling, missing elements, or strange lines. 3. Check edges and shape, incomplete edges or clipped corners equals big money. 4. Compare to photos online, use PCGS, NGC, or Heritage auctions for reference. 5. Send it for grading. PCGS or NGC authentication can unlock full market value. Buyers trust certified coins.